Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Check out the Tobin and Leroy Show weekdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and check us on out. Live chat on over there, ladies and gentlemen. So Chris Grier addressed the media today as the 53-man roster was set yesterday. Some tweaks. They got a receiver from Green Bay. Jack Driscoll's gone. But don't worry, everybody. Chris Grier, Mike McDaniel, they think it's cute that everybody has concerns about the offensive line. I don't like the jokes. I got to be honest with you. I'm not thrilled with the jokey joke. Everybody's just, you guys don't know offensive line. Hey, it took like one thing to derail everything last year on the offensive line. So while everybody's, while they're all, hobnobbing over there in Miami Gardens in the facility about, their wall, this fortified wall that they've built with the offensive line, drafting a guy in the second round who may be a monster but can't even play this year because you already have a left tackle who ponders retirement and playing every single week. You have a center who's already hurt, a right guard who is sick of ping-ponging between positions, and when he does play positions, he's on the ground more than Joel Embiid during an NBA regular season game. And, you're hopeful that the left guard is figured out. I think Austin Jackson just kind of rolls along as we go. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. I didn't like, every time their thing with this is, you guys have more concerns than we did. And look at what happened last year. It's like, yeah, for a time. But you guys would agree this is a little bit fragile, that what you got going on here. And nope, he's like, never been more confident in the offensive line.
It's always interesting because Mike and I were talking about this the other day that with the offensive line, how every year that's, you guys are like, we're not good enough. But then offensively, we're a pretty good offense the last 2 years. And a number of you guys have talked about how the guys have improved. Those guys on the offensive line have worked their tails off. We feel confident in them, the coaching staff believes in them, and Butch and Mike and Frank have done a great job, and Lem in helping those guys develop.
I just want to say as an aside, I would love to know the move when the media is skeptical of something, right? I would love to know the move that the front office / coaching staff makes together, and they're just like, man, they're on to us there, dude. They knew it. They knew it the whole time that guy was a bum.
Work, and so I think the important thing is they all work together. It's
like when Floyd Mayweather cashes his bets and he's listening, he only posts the wins online. Like that was his bit for a while where he'd just check out this bet. But we never saw the losses with Floyd Mayweather. Never heard about it.
Really cohesive unit, and just watching them work together is great every day. They hang out together, so it's a very close-knit unit. That said, yeah, we'll add someone to the practice squad like we always do. And just for your information, we released Jack Driscoll.
Vita Vea had released Jack Driscoll. We all saw it. When he released him from his grip, that was the end of his Dolphins career.
Recently, because he claimed Grant Dubose, wide receiver, and so that was the roster move for him. Jack's a good kid, worked his tail off. It's just unfortunately a numbers crunch for us. Yeah. But we're confident in the offensive line. So again, it's just one of those. It's Mike and I we always kind of chuckle. I know you guys have made a joke about me saying that you guys are more worried about it than we are. But internally, that's how we feel about our group here as a team.
All right. Well, I would love to know the ones that they don't have the knee slappers about, but it's good to know around the water cooler things are fun. He also wouldn't confirm if Isaiah Wynn was going to play this year, which awesome. But they feel better about their group than the media does. Awesome. The other thing was the Odell Beckham thing continues to be a mystery because here's the thing that's weird about the Odell Beckham thing, right? There very, very clearly seems to be something annoying Odell Beckham because as Tyreek Hill referred to him as their KD, he keeps hitting up people on Twitter about this. And Mike McDaniel, when announcing the PUP list, wouldn't say that Odell Beckham was going to be on there. And then Chris Grier reveals in his press conference today that Odell Beckham didn't want to stay on the physically unable to perform list. He wanted to be on the 53-man roster, and that they made the move to put him on the physically unable to perform list, which seems like an over dramatization of this thing. Like everything is getting a little bit crazy and dramatic with this because just the lack of transparency with it has been weird, right? Because you sit here and you're in the offseason, you sign Odell Beckham, and you make a big deal out of it, and it's a feather in the cap, right? Mike McDaniel convinces him to come here. He's happy to be here. You look at this offense, you look at the wide receiver group, you're kind of like, all right, what's this deal? Now we find out they make another move today. They bring in DeBose. Eric Ezukama is going to be on the practice squad. All right, so maybe it's not as thin as it seemed like it was, and Odell is now on this PUP list. He stays on the PUP list. But very highly publicized player. He's been in before in plenty of public spats with his team. And you're hopeful that, like, hey, this is a more mature player. This is a guy who you're not going to have your hands full with. But already there's been, like, what he wants to happen on social media and what the team wants and what they can put out publicly and then what's really true. Like yesterday, they go out and all the report is, oh, he's going to be on the physically unable to perform list. But this was the plan all along because the Miami Dolphins knew he had a procedure. This was going to be the case. But then Chris Grier comes out today and he goes, oh, no. Well, he wanted to be out, but we're being smart with him, which, fine, be smart with him. I'm not here to tell you, hey, rush Odell Beckham back or have him out there. But the ping-ponging of this saga has been anything but normal. It's been weird. And you're just getting the one franchise kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth because at one point they're like, I'm not worried about it. But then Tua's the only honest one among all of us, right? Because he'll tell you, Tua's so honest, he won't even tell you he'll tell you exactly when he's not going to be honest, right? Tua's so honest about this, and he's like, well, I don't really have any chemistry with Odell Beckham. He's not even running routes. And then he's still telling them, don't even have any chemistry with him. Don't really know. Great guy off the field. Don't really know what it's going to be like playing with him. And then Tua's so honest, even when he was asked this week about the Brian Flores thing again, he was asked about the theory as to why Brian Flores played him after the bye week his rookie year. He's like, I can't even answer that to you truthfully, which probably means he wanted to, but his coach told him not to. But Tua's so honest, he's going to even let you know he's lying. That's how honest he is. Anyway, so Odell, this whole thing remains being a thing, and I find that kind of annoying that this has been ping pong back and forth. Hopefully he comes back and he is able to go. I did have a couple of things, though, from Chris Grier. I'm not going to completely hammer him. I do think that he had a couple of things that he did say that I did like. And that is really talking about the Miami Dolphins. He was asked about the Stephen Ross expectations situation, and he was asked about what he thinks is a successful season, and you thought you were going to box him in, right? Because he was like, he was kind of like dancing around it, but then he was asked about what he thinks a successful season is, and I like this answer from Chris Grier.
Define a successful season for this year. Does it require you to end the 24-year drought?
Yeah, I don't think we shy away from it. Mike's talked about it. Yeah. For us, it's always, again, every team wants to win the Super Bowl, and we're no different. And at the end of the day, one team wins, and to me, if you don't win it, every team, that's not a successful season. So that's the way I've always looked at it.
I look at it. I like that answer. Look. I get it. It's cliche, but I like the fact that at least he's just not like, oh yeah, that's the one team goal. Like the expectations should be high for the team, and then if they don't reach those high expectations, then you're free to feel what you want. And to his credit, he also didn't use injuries as an excuse for last year. He actually put a lot of it on execution, even though he probably could have put injuries as the excuse.
I mean, injuries happen. I don't want to use that as just the excuse. That would maybe trying to take the easy way out to just use that. Again, there's 11 players on the field at a time, and it could be one person messing up that caused it, and the other 10, doing their assignment right. So it's just, again, find a way to executing in those moments with everyone on the field the same time. And so Mike and the staff have been working very hard on that, and that's been a focus of us of just because if we play well consistently and not just halves and stuff. That we feel we can compete with any team in the league.
Yeah, they definitely have to execute some things better. There's things that the coaching staff has to do better. Injuries were a part of it last year, but yeah, nobody, and I mean nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it, and I think especially with the Dolphins, I think a lot of people were rooting for their downfall last year nationally just because they were peacocking a little bit. I saw a podcast clip this week with Kyle Brandt, Good Morning Football, does the angry runs bit. He takes football very seriously. And he was on the Bill Simmons podcast, and he was basically like, "Oh, it's enough of them. I mean, bleeper get off the pod for Mike McDaniel." And while a lot of Dolphin fans echo, I think, those sentiments, I do think also like there's people who are like they don't want the razzle dazzle to win, and they don't want all the motion and the wacky stuff. They don't want that to win. So I do think there's a level of Mike McDaniel like, hey, you're gonna have to prove. You're gonna have to prove this style works. You're gonna have to prove that this can come through, and is gonna pay off eventually in the end. And it can't all just be one thing just sets it off like dynamite, and all of a sudden, boom, it's over. So all of that I appreciated from Chris Grier today in the midst of them mocking the offensive line concern, which I did not find funny. They announced also today Tim Boyle is going to be their practice squad quarterback. Now, you may remember him from such films as throwing the Fail Mary to Javon Holland last year, former Jets quarterback. Yet again, the Dolphins are poaching Jets quarterbacks to their roster, and Tim Boyle is apparently coming. Mike McDaniel, Chris Grier said, really liked what he saw on film, spent time in Houston, has respect for him. So he's on the squad. Yay. Awesome. But this was, I think, my last part of this, the press conference, which I did like from Mike McDaniel. I didn't love the Tim Boyle thing because, no offense, Tim, the only thing I know of you is throwing as one of the craziest interceptions I've ever seen. Although I guess you could say threw one of the coolest Dolphins touchdowns of last year. But this one I genuinely had a smile on my face when I heard this, because he was asked about the idea of Mike White going to Buffalo, and Mike White, typical rat behavior, like a rat fink, went to the Buffalo Bills because they're going to go and try and download information from him. And I mean, I don't know what they're going to want. Like, it's not like if you either got the personnel to do what the Dolphins do and Mike McDaniel, you don't. I mean, like, listen, Sean McDermott's kind of stepped in it a few times. They've had to hone things in with what they do offensively, certainly. But this was what he had to say about Mike White. I found this answer to kind of be a delight.
Any concerns over state secrets that Mike White can reveal?
I said, yeah, I used to be that way, but so many players go back and forth between, I'm sure Buffalo's not losing too much sleep about Poyer being here, so it's just one of those, it happens, the ones I always laugh at are week one, like when week one teams play each other and they start claiming guys from each other's team. I think that's funny, but.
Well, and also, he should have really just rounded it off with him. And also, he's Mike White. Like, we're not worried about it. Like, honestly, you guys saw how he executed this playbook. Not well. So, we'll be all right. I don't think. Hey, Mike, will they do like a motion thing? I don't know how I make him like surfer Keanu Reeves guy. Will they do this thing where like Jonnu Smith runs in motion? And, I was throwing to Willie Snead the fourth a lot, so, didn't work a lot, But anyway, good luck. It doesn't sound like he's too concerned. I will say for Jordan Poyer, listen, I hope he can give some advice to beating Buffalo. Dolphins haven't been very good at beating Buffalo, so I do hope they can. But I'm sure he's just like, listen, you just got to wait until Josh Allen does something stupid. That's what we always did. We just sat here on the defensive side, and we was like, please don't do something dumb. And then he would do something dumb. You only were able to fall for that. You guys were only able to let him fall into that trap one time. You kept antagonizing him with Christian Wilkins, grabbing him by the junk. Don't do that. So hopefully that's the advice that Jordan Poyer is giving. But yeah, kind of a mixed bag from Chris Grier. I spent like half the time like nodding, and then I spent half the time being like, what? I don't love that. But the Odell thing and the offensive line thing were the squirreliest that out of the bunch of acorns that he dropped in this presser.